The KUDZUKIAN Network presents GRINDSET, inside the mind of successful entrepreneurs, with your host, Cynthia Daniels and Memphis Brack.
I think sometimes we overplan things and that can kind of cause a delay or setback. But I would definitely say dive in, get your name started, get your website up, get your business cards.
But you're going to learn from a lot of amazing people what kind of pitfalls that they have, the challenges, but what really made them successful, what made them keep going.
GRINDSET.
Welcome back to another episode of GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. I'm your host, Cynthia Daniels, Chief Event Strategist of Cynthia Daniels & Company.
And I'm your co-host, Memphis Brack, asset-based lender at First Tennessee Bank.
And today's guest is Erica Plybeah Hemphill. She is the founder of MedHaul. MedHaul works with patient transportation providers to overcome transportation challenges and gives healthcare providers a technology platform to schedule and manage rides for patients.
Woo! Listen, I'm looking forward to interviewing Erica for two reasons. The first is she's a high-growth, high-tech company.
Right.
And secondly, she's from the mean streets of Greenwood. And so when we get back, we're going to talk to the Greenwood native, and we're going to talk more about MedHaul.
R&R on Sports is proud to be on Sirius XM.
So what's R&R stand for?
Real talk and relevant sports issues.
It's racial and relative. We're brothers from the South. We can relate.
R&R on Sports on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
As promised, we are very excited to have founder and CEO of MedHaul, Erica Plybeah Hemphill, in the studio. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
We're doing pretty good. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'm super excited. Wait a minute. Before we get started, I hear you're from Greenwood, Mississippi. My co-host over here is also from those mean streets.
Yes.
Definitely from the mean streets of Greenwood and adopted by Memphis.
Did you guys grow up in the same neighborhood, or?
I grew up on Johnson and Cotton Street.
Yeah,
railroad
he grew up in the city. I'm from the country off the back road.
Ah, there's a difference in the city and the country part of Greenwood. I love it.
So the county and the city. So he grew up a little more privileged than me.
We learning something new about you today, huh, Brock?
I don't know how we define privilege, but yeah, I guess so.
All right, so we're going to turn it back over to you, Erica. So tell us a little bit about your company, MedHaul, and what exactly do you do?
Yeah, so with MedHaul, our goal is to eliminate transportation barriers for patients. And we really try to focus on communities that are either low-income urban or rural communities, which is why Memphis was kind of one of the perfect places, because it is sort of a smaller metropolitan area, but it's surrounded by rural areas. And a lot of those patients rely on our organizations in Memphis for their care. So what we actually did is we built a solution for healthcare organizations that get transportation for their patients.
Okay.
So we are immediately going after these healthcare organizations, and we actually connect them to transportation providers in the Memphis area that can provide transportation for various types of patient needs, like car seats, wheelchairs, bariatric wheelchairs, non-emergency stretchers, ventilation machines, things like that.
So is it healthcare to transportation to patients, or healthcare to patients to transportation? How does the circle of life work in your system?
Yep. So it's healthcare organization to patients, but through the transportation network.
Got it.
So we're the technology. We don't own any vehicles at all.
Yeah.
We partner with transportation providers in the community. So these small NEMT companies or non-emergency medical transportation providers. And we take them through a series of a credentialing process so that they can join our platform to make sure that they're like a legit company and can provide safe services.
So not me pulling up.
No, not exactly. Not exactly. We want to keep our patients safe and provide an ultimate experience for them. So through our platform, healthcare organizations, whether they be hospitals, senior citizen homes, chronic care management companies, they can use our platform to book this transportation for the patient, and they're automatically connected to a transportation provider that can provide that service.
Now, how did your company get started? I mean, it sounds like a genius idea and concept to come up with I'm sure there was some kind of a problem out there that you had to find a solution to.
Yeah, so I got started from a professional and a personal reason. So my personal reason was that my grandmother, she's a double leg amputee, type 2 diabetic, and she was in Greenwood, Mississippi. And her primary transporter was my mother, and my mother is a full-time teacher. So trying to manage my grandmother's transportation along with my mom's work schedule was just a lot. It was a nightmare. And I thought this was just a problem for us in our little small town of Greenwood, Mississippi. But as I did more research, I learned that this was a problem for over 50 million families across the country.
Ooh, wow. That's a large market.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Wide open.
So, and then actually about a little over a year and a half ago, the Memphis Medical District Collaborative and Epicenter came together, and they had a competition, and they worked with the hospitals in the Memphis Medical District to help for the hospitals to come together and find out what their top pain points were. And so transportation management was one of them. So I kind of saw this as a way to maybe test the ideas that I had. And so I entered that competition, and the rest was kind of history from there. We ended up winning that competition and winning $20,000. So.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That meant you had a great idea.
Yes, so thank you.
Yeah, so you're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. You keep referencing we a lot in the information you're sharing with us. Are you exactly in business with somebody else?
Yes.
Okay.
So on our team, there's 2.5 of us.
2.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if you're an entrepreneur, then you know the struggles of getting that early team. But yeah, there's 2.5 of us.
Okay.
And we've been at work with this about 2.5 years. But we all met each other through a course of our professional network. We're all in healthcare, some sort of way, or health information technology.
Okay.
And we've known each other about 4 years now. So it's myself, my director of community engagement. Her name is Natalie Ocean. She also went to the University of Memphis and got her master's in healthcare administration. And our CTO, or Chief Technical Officer, is Cameron Brackett. And he was actually the executive director of a program that I worked for when I was at Memphis Bioworks.
Is he the half man?
He is the half man.
How did you know? So this is already just an incredible venture that you're on. I want to kind of share for those women that are listening right now at their desk. I want you to let them know, what was that moment for you that made you say, I'm leaving my 9-to-5 and going to take on MedHaul full time. This is going to be the thing that I'm going to do moving forward as my own company. Ooh.
So I'm a very
Heard of exhale.
So I actually take a lot of risks. I just always kind of have been.
I do the same thing.
But I take very calculated risks. So I knew about once we won the competition and once we got into this startup accelerator, I knew this was going to be something that I wanted to work on full time. So this was about a year before I left my 9-to-5, though.
Okay.
So once I know that this is what I need to do, I start putting plans in place. So first thing I start to do, start talking to God about it first, because if I don't talk to him, then he ain't going to work it off.
Amen.
And then definitely talking to my husband and my family and stuff about it, just to make sure it's something that they'll support, because I was bringing in a paycheck. So, if that paycheck gone, somebody going to have to pay. MLGW not just handing out, free lights.
No, they're not.
Can we do a deeper dive into those conversations?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because when you hear an income gone, and then if you're supporting any kind of family in Greenwood, Mississippi, they're like, okay, you can't give me money no more, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about like the difficulty and emotions of having those conversations and like specifics if you can.
Yep. So actually about 4 years ago, when we first had our son, is when I told family at home in Greenwood, Mississippi, that I couldn't support them anymore. Only because we were trying to build a life for our son that we never got to have.
Yes.
So like we just bought our first home. Neither of our families ever owned a home.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So we're really excited about that. So that was kind of the family piece. I'm a very type A, very firm person. So usually when I say no, my family kind of like gets it and they don't ask me no more. But as far
you must have set that up over years.
Yes, over years. But in my own personal household, it took a lot of conversations and a lot of planning. It's definitely not something. I know tons of founders that just jump out there and do it. That wasn't gonna work like in our house, because like I said, I would never want to put my family in a really bad place, and ultimately I just don't want to disrespect our home. Right. So that was something that I really needed to make sure that I did. So we made sure we saved. We were already saving for a home, so we just saved a little bit extra. Yeah. And my husband, by his grace, he was actually saving for a trucking company because he wants to be an entrepreneur as well.
That's awesome.
And he, let me pinch off that, for my company.
We're living in modern times.
So, but I will really say that it took a lot of planning and a lot of conversations beforehand, so there wasn't a surprise.
You're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. We're here with Erica Plybeah Henfield of MedHaul. She's talking about the beginnings and some of the hard conversations of being in the business. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about fundraising, right? You've had the conversations. Now you need to fund your idea. And I also want to dive a bit deeper into the competitions.
GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Keeping it real, right, and funky.
Tasha Downey, that other co-host, Tasha.
In this building, I want to talk about and make some mad beats.
Well, speaking about
there
making,
you go. I want to bring out my inner rap artist. Like I'm here for.
Oh, you talking about BEAT? I thought you talking about the beat.
Funky politics on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN. Hey y'all, this your girl Erica Plybeah, founder and CEO of MedHaul. And if you want to hear about the challenges and successes of being an entrepreneur, make sure to check out GRINDSET on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We're here with Erica Plybeah Henfield, founder of MedHaul. We just finished talking about the origins of the business, what MedHaul is, and we started touching on fundraising and how to actually get your business from idea into these competitions to startup phase. Would you mind just jumping in and starting from pinching from your husband to joining his first competition?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like to tell entrepreneurs that there are tons of these competitions or like incubators or accelerators that will help fund you at the very earliest stage. And by early, I mean like I just had an idea like in the shower last night kind of thing.
Really?
Obviously, you have to think a little bit through.
Yeah.
But you don't need to have a business plan or anything necessarily set in place, because that's sort of the purpose of a lot of these competitions and these programs is to help you create a business plan. Like, I don't know how to create a business plan. So, but I have a great idea and I have a lot of domain experience.
Yeah.
So the competition that we first entered in was through Epicenter. Which I encourage all entrepreneurs in Memphis to go reach out to Epicenter.
Shout out to Epicenter. Yeah.
Shout out to
all
Epicenter.
the resources that they have. They work with all different types of companies. But the competition was through Epicenter and Memphis Medical District Collaborative. And we were at concept stage, which in our world we call it concept stage, which is the very earliest stage, meaning that you don't have a prototype or you don't necessarily have like a lot of infrastructure that you've built around it. It's not an actual like business yet. But the competition was specifically looking for entrepreneurs that had an idea. And there are a lot of these types of opportunities out there. So I would heavily recommend just do a quick Google search. A lot of entrepreneurs or people just try to do too many searches like on Instagram and Facebook. Right. Really try to use Google, search for business grants, business competitions. There are a lot of opportunities out here. So you don't have to be as advanced as you think, because many of these organizations will help you.
And so for me, I'd love to hear, what was year one like for you?
Year one was a little sketchy.
I mean, everybody's year one is sketchy.
Yeah, and I feel like that even in year two. I think just starting up a company is so crazy. You really just kind of have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time educating myself, so reading a lot of books because my background is clinical and in technology, so I didn't have a business or finance background.
Okay.
So I think it's really important to educate yourself. Not that you can become the CFO of your company. That's the whole purpose of hiring like a CFO. But there's still things that you need to educate yourself on.
Major key alert. You educating yourself on finances, and you need to understand that part of your business.
Yeah.
So what's been on your reading list just in case other startup entrepreneurs want to look into finance?
So there are a couple. I would say the Lean Startup was really good for us. And there's also one called Business Value Proposition. A business value proposition was really important because it helps you learn how valuable your company really truly is to your customer, and learning how you can help your customer make money. You can help your customers make money. So that's always really important, and learning how to communicate that to people, because it sounds easy, but it's actually kind of difficult to do.
I can tell you've been practicing, because I'm like, yeah, this is a great business right here.
It really is. Do you feel like you had a lot of challenges year one?
Yes.
Let's talk about them.
Yes. Ooh.
We keep it real here.
Yeah. So a lot of challenges, and I wish more of these startup programs or incubator programs really talked a lot about mental health.
Yeah.
Really?
Because you can drive yourself pure crazy working on your startup, because I mean, it's all you ever think about. So you can literally go 16 hours a day without like eating or, talking to family.
I need to start up.
Don't pay him any mind. He's over here flexing, guys. You can't see him.
And then also, like for us, we just didn't have the money to do the things that we saw other startups did. Because another thing that you have to be aware of when you're starting your company, you can't take someone else's journey. Like you have to just stay in your own lane.
That is golden.
Yeah, so that you can realize the journey that's for you.
Right.
And being in the healthcare startup space, or being in the healthcare and tech startup space, you see all these other organizations that do all these things, and they're scaling so quickly to other cities and other markets, and you try to emulate that. And it's very difficult to do when you don't have the same network or same resources as those organizations. So that was a huge challenge as well. So mental health, and then also resources.
You're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. And we're here with Erica Plybeah Hempfield of MedHaul. And we're talking about challenges. And you said mental health is one.
Right.
Staying in your lane, not taking somebody else's journey. But what about the financial challenges, right? So you win a competition, the idea. Now, I'm thinking there's a bum rush of people all over the country ready to fund MedHaul. Is that how it happens, or what?
As much as I wish that were true, unfortunately, it's not. And then also being a Black woman in technology, the amount of money that we raise is astounding compared to our white male counterparts.
What are the comparables?
Yeah, so on average, between 2009 and 2017, Black women raised on average about $30,000 from investors, and white males on average about $5 million.
You're kidding?
No.
Wow.
I wish
That's
I was.
Say those numbers again.
So $30,000 on average for Black women and $5 million for white males.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty difficult to do. Luckily, there are alternatives.
Okay.
And sometimes you just kind of have to roll with the punches. What really helped us is that we, in comparison to some of our competitors and other healthcare startups or tech startups, we started making money first. And it's a lot easier to get somebody to fund you when you can show that you can make money. But unfortunately, a lot of startups don't have to make money. They can walk into a boardroom, have an idea, boom, $2 million. There you go. Wow. But luckily, I knew that wasn't going to be the case for us, unfortunately. So we took a different path.
Wow. But these are just some harsh realities you have to face as entrepreneurs, and specifically African-American entrepreneurs in the tech space. I read about it all day, but you're the first entrepreneur in front of me who's really expressing real world what I've been reading in articles. You've been listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network, and we're going to talk about what's next for MedHaul.
R&R on Sports is proud to be on Sirius XM.
So what's R&R stand for?
Real talk and relevant sports issues.
It's racial and relative. We're brothers from the South. We can relate.
R&R on Sports on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
You're listening to GRINDSET on the KUDZUKIAN Network, and we are closing it out right now with our amazing guest, Erica Plybeah Hempfield. She is the CEO and founder of MedHaul, and we really just want to know, what do you see next for MedHaul in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so 5 to 10 years, I honestly couldn't tell you. But definitely in the next 24 months or so, we'll be scaling our operations fully to Nashville, Little Rock, and about 6 other cities in the Southeast.
I'm sorry. She said we don't need 5 to 10 years in the next 24 months.
Did you say scale? I heard scale.
24. It's incredible.
Yeah, it takes a lot of planning and preparation for sure.
Okay.
And we picked our next cities very carefully and very strategically.
Okay.
And so we're targeting cities in the Southeast primarily because we're trying to catch the high populations of chronic diseases and patients that live in those like rural areas that we talked about a little bit earlier. So that's where we kind of see MedHaul. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I try not to be as type. I'm a very type A person, but I've let a lot of that go being an entrepreneur because you cannot plan things that well. Like you
totally
think
can't.
it's going to go exactly this way and it's going to go the exact opposite.
So how has the business changed from the original idea to what it is today?
So when we first started, we were actually targeting just hospitals.
Okay.
But what's surprising is that our first customers were not hospitals at all. So we kind of went where the market took us. And that's what entrepreneurs have to learn.
You have to be flexible.
You have to be flexible. So you may have an idea in your head and that's perfect, but you have to be willing to be flexible, especially if that's where your revenue is coming from. So really kind of go where the market takes you, be open to changing some things.
Okay. And then if you're going to be branching out into the Nashville market, do you plan on adding more people to your team at MedHaul? Do you plan on traveling back and forth? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we're adding people to our team because we're a technology company. A lot of our team members can work remotely.
Nice.
So we'll be based here in Memphis. We're not moving our headquarters to anywhere, especially not Nashville.
We need you here.
No, we're not leaving Memphis. Memphis has accepted me and loved me, so we're staying here. But we will be adding people to our team, both here in Memphis and remotely.
Okay.
And we'll also be growing our transportation networks, obviously, in those other communities that we plan on scaling to.
Now, are you funding that through revenues and profits, or are people now saying, you're making money, we just got to be a part of this?
Yes, so both.
I love it.
So that's the good thing about being able to make money, because then you don't have to have such a huge struggle of getting investors. It is very difficult for Black women and just minority-led companies in general to get money from investors at just concept stage.
Why do you think that is?
I don't think we had that kind of time on the show today. But there are just a lot of things, and research shows that investors typically go after what has been successful in the past. So that's people that look like Mark Zuckerberg or the founder of Uber.
I saw him in
whatever.
Senate. I don't think they want to invest in people that look like You're listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. We're talking about the future of MedHaul here. And you're talking about growing, which is exciting, and
one new market,
and scaling just after a year and a half, going on 2 years. That's exciting. How have you been able to do that? Right. So it takes people years to scale, and you're doing it in a couple of years.
God, that's like literally that's completely it. I actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur in my whole life.
Yeah.
But when something is meant for you, things will just kind of line up. One thing that I am very intentional about is growing my professional network and making sure I have really good, solid relationships. That is so important. I have a phenomenal relationships with a lot of people here in Memphis, and that has really helped me grow my business because I have people that I can reach out to and ask them to connect me to a health network or connect me to a transportation provider or connect me to an investor. And it doesn't feel as though like I'm using them or, because we have a really good, solid relationship, and they also share opportunities with me as well.
Awesome.
So I would definitely, that's probably my number one or my number two advice for entrepreneurs is to make sure they foster really good relationships.
And speaking of relationships, I know you also find time to mentor. Like with your busy schedule, you have a family, you have a company, you're scaling. How do you find time to also mentor and give back in your community?
I make time. I have to. Okay. With the community that I'm from, I feel like I don't have a choice. There were a lot of people that reached out to me or that helped me when I was younger, when I was in Greenwood, Mississippi. So, and I needed them. And so whoever I can help, whenever I can help, I'll do it.
That's incredible. And then one other thing for me before we close out, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten? And just for the women that are listening right now, what can they do today to start working towards that company and leaving their 9-to-5 like you did?
So the best piece of advice that I've been given and that I also give is to slow down. I think in this society, especially with social media, Instagram and Facebook and all this other kind of stuff, we always feel compelled to do what we mentioned, what other people are doing, or feel compelled to hurry up and try to do something new.
Okay.
But really taking that time to slow down and plan out exactly what it is that you're doing. You don't have to blast it all over. So I'm getting ready to start a company. You don't have to do all of that. Just really sit down, take the opportunity, do your research, educate yourself, and slow down and take care of yourself.
Okay.
A lot of women do not take care of themselves. They take care of their husbands or their kids first. They take care of their employers first, but they don't take care of themselves.
Wow.
So really take care of yourself and slow down.
It's awesome advice. I definitely need a reminder of that every now and then as myself as an entrepreneur.
So what's on your personal care plan for yourself?
Ooh, so tea. I love tea.
What kind of tea?
So any kind of stuff, mostly herbal tea. I try not to do a whole lot of caffeine, but mostly herbal tea.
Okay.
In our house, I have what we call my relaxing room. So it's no toys, any of that in there. So my son, he can come in there, but it's no toys in there. So that's the one, no toys, none of that extra stuff.
Yeah.
So I like to sit in my relaxing room. I like to take a bath. I love Epsom salt. Country folks love their Epsom salt
she
baths.
took a bath.
I had one last week. I must be country.
That's that greenwood.
And my candles. And what I've recently started implementing is getting massages. So,
nice.
That's my little care plan. And I'll start by going on vacation soon, I hope.
Well, Erica, thank you for sharing so much, from your mental health plan to your business to what's happening in your family to fundraising challenges. So what do we actually find MedHaul, right? If we wanted family members to utilize your services?
Yeah, so you can have your provider reach out to us at www.gomedhall.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can find our company on LinkedIn at MedHaul, or on Facebook at GoMedHaul, and on Twitter at MedHaul.
You're on all the social medias. Any Snapchat or anything like that?
No Snapchat or Instagram.
Cynthia, in the last word, Erica, we've enjoyed having you on the show. Any last words, Cynthia?
Yeah, I just want to echo that as a Black woman, I want to say that I'm proud that you are taking on challenges in a field that doesn't necessarily look like you. And I want to just continue to keep you encouraged.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shout out to Greenwood, Mississippi.
Yes.
R&R on Sports is proud to be on Sirius XM.
So what's R&R stand for?
Real talk and relevant sports issues.
It's racial and relative. We're brothers from the South. We can relate.
R&R on Sports on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. I hope you enjoyed listening to Erica as much as we did. As a high-growth, high-tech startup, she just dropped a lot of major keys that some of which we haven't heard and some were just new. And the first one is have a reason for your business to exist. Erica's reason was both personal and professional. 2, startup organizations fund well thought out ideas. Search for these organizations. You can use Google, social media, wherever, but if you have an idea, it's worthy of pursuing. 3, educate yourself on the finance side of business. 4, slow down and plan your business before announcing it on social media and to the world. 5, know your business value proposition, how you're going to make yourself money and how you're going to make your customers money. 6, go to where the market or your customers take you. And most importantly, take care of yourself. Cynthia?
Those are some incredible major keys. I've never heard you say that many in one show, and that just lets you know how great of a guest Erica was.
Shout out to Erica in Greenwood.
Yes, she was amazing. So for me, my woman power quote is from the Oprah Winfrey. I feel that she needs to be quoted on today's episode, inspired by Erica. The quote says, "What God intended for you goes far beyond anything you can imagine."
Amen.
And what Erica said herself was that she never thought she would be an entrepreneur, that her growth really comes from her faith. And I think just women out there listening need to know that there's something greater for you, but you have to take that first step and be brave.
Wow. Both Oprah and Erica are motivating me. You've been listening to GRINDSET, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. I really enjoyed this show, and we'll see you next time.
GRINDSET. Executive producer Epicenter. Recorded at KUDZUKIAN Studios. GRINDSET is directed, produced, recorded, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.